I'm William Brown. Please join me for a stroll down Fan Alley. He was the son of a saloon keeper who began to study violin at age 6. His ineptness at it won him acclaim. He won acclaim as an entertainer with a career in radio, television, and film. He was Jack Benny, most notably known for his long pause, which caused uproarious laughter.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Jello again, this is Jack Benny talking. And Don, remember, an announcer who gives a bum introduction may be written off as a tax deduction. What does that even mean?
No, that was not Jack Benny, but our guest for today, New York actor Jack West, who performed with the Atlanta Radio Theater Company in Lights Out as a tribute to Jack Benny. We'll hear that full episode after our interview with Jack West. Tell me, when did you first become aware of Jack Benny?
You see, I was a little tyke in the 1960s, and I didn't have command.
Too.
So what life was like back then.
Yes.
With the technology that we had with TV sets, I didn't have command over the TV, but I sat closest to it, and so the family dictated what we watched, but I was the official remote control.
Okay.
Right? Get up, change the channel to channel 2, change it to channel 4. So I was the channel changer. And on Sunday nights, my family, my grandmother, we all lived in different apartments in the same house. And so they'd all get together. The family would get together on Sunday nights and they'd gossip about other people around the kitchen table and the living room couch. So they plunked me and my sister in front of the TV to keep us entertained. And we'd watch Walt Disney, Ed Sullivan, Jack Benny, Candid Camera, and What's My Line with John Daly in that order. And classics, we look back at that now and say, oh my God, these were all classics. But what a lineup, huh? From what I remember.
I never remember actually first seeing Jack Benny or becoming aware of him. I was just always aware of him.
Right. It's kind of like that. I can't think of the first memory, but I remember that was a big part of childhood, was looking forward to Sunday nights because you'd see these shows and you'd laugh. And I don't know why I laughed. I guess because it was silly, but because I don't think I got all the jokes.
What was your favorite episode of the Benny Show, either on radio or television?
Oh, well, I only discovered the radio programs later in life, now that they're on the internet. But I was brought up on the TV show, as I said. So on those, I really, especially like the bits with Mel Blanc, that character, and Frank Nelson with his yes, the guy that he did. Like I said, I like the ridiculousness of the comedy. So there's an episode that I remember faintly where Jack goes down about 3 miles beneath his home to his vault. Right. And he crosses over alligators and there's man strangling plants and he meets his vault's guard who's been down there so long. Automobiles. What is that? And girls. What is that? And it was hysterical. So it was so absurd. That's probably my favorite. Either that or The Mouse That Jack Built, which I know isn't an episode officially, but I want to bring it into the canon anyway.
What was your favorite Jack Benny movie?
Okay, so hands down, that's To Be or Not to Be.
That would be my choice as well.
Great. It's I think it's got a great story structure. I think that's really what's appealing about it. The humor is just the overlay on it. Jack's acting ability, I think his strength, if you want to call it a strength, was in playing a regular guy who's trying to navigate through uncharted waters. And I think that's what he does in his films like George Washington Slept Here or The Horn Blows at Midnight. He's just trying to muddle through. To Be or Not to Be is kind of different from his other movies in sort of the same way that The Time of Their Lives is a different kind of Abbott and Costello movie, if you're familiar with that. Yeah. And, both of those, I love movies like those. And I love Jack's appearance in It's in the Bag, the 1945 Fred Allen film. They kind of wisecrack and poke fun about their real world life in that, they just rib each other. And, I'm going to add The Mouse That Jack Built again to this one, just in case, just make sure it's covered.
He didn't do that because he wanted to make the movie. He did it because he felt he had to make that movie.
He had to make It's in the Bag?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of the invasion of Poland by the Nazis. And at the time in this country, that was not heavily in our news. It was pretty much in the news, but people weren't really aware what was going on.
So,
That
so,
movie gave a showing of what was going on at the time.
so you're talking about To Be or Not to Be,
To be or not to be, yes.
right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Has Jack Benny affected your life?
Well,
Well,
well, you say.
now cut that out.
Too late. I wrote and performed a radio theater bit a couple of years ago called "If Jack Benny Did a Christmas Carol, It Might Go Something Like This," because with all his Christmas specials, I realized he never did anything like that exactly. So I kept to the style of the show, but I reimagined Jack as Scrooge and Boris Karloff, Humphrey Bogart, and Peter Lorre as the spirits that visit him. And I still crack up whenever I hear anyone on a show go, "Yes." And right, you just laughed. And I've been Jack Benny for the last couple of years worth of Atlanta Radio Theater Company productions for the International Jack Benny Festival. And here I am talking to you about it. So I'd say, no, I haven't been affected. Not much.
Is there anything you want to add to this? Anything you want to say about Benny or what you do? Well, what do you do apart from Jack Benny? What do you do
What do I do?
up in New York?
Well, I used to be a portrait artist for my career. And then I retired a few years ago and wanted to get more into performing, which I had done before, and playwriting. And so I did. I said, that's what I'm going to do in my retirement. And so I was writing comedy plays for the stage when the pandemic hit in 2020 and theaters closed. So there dashed my hopes of getting something, staged at any point in time. So I rewrote the plays as audio productions. And to do that, I did some research. I Googled radio theater companies to get the sense of how audio theater is done.
Mm.
And one of the sites that came up was the Atlanta Radio Theater Company. And that gave me some ideas. I looked through the site and I listened to some stuff and I got some ideas on how to go about it. And so it's pretty cool. I think that I have this opportunity to thank you, William, for creating it. So that helped a lot.
It was not me by myself that created it. It was the whole company that created it.
Well, you gave that away.
Kind of set the things in motion for it.
See, I was giving you all the credit. You could have bowed out gracefully and just in the spotlight. Since then, I've done a limited series of fantasy comedy thrillers. Just did a spoof of Alfred Hitchcock's The Man Who Knew Too Much. And I have a new comedy I wrote where Winston Churchill and Ian Fleming hatch a plot to cast a spell on Hitler with the help of British witches, which, believe it or not, is inspired by a true story. And another piece I'm working on right now is a drama based on the events from Eddie Rochester Anderson's life. So I'm also going to be in a non-Jack Benny production of To Be or Not to Be. So it has nothing to do with Benny. They're just doing a whole new production of it. And I'm in a new series for the Shakespeare Theater Company. And hopefully I'll be doing some live radio theater performances as well. At least I'm auditioning for that. So if anyone wants to catch my comedies, which that sounds like a disease, doesn't it? If you want to catch my comedies, they're available on the Profound Idiots podcast on Razzmatazz Audio Theater, which is available wherever you get your podcasts. Oh, there's also, I'm working on, there's a young Jack versus an old Jack insofar as the voices go. Young Jack on the radio was a high pitch, very fast. Why, hello, Mary, that sort of thing. Whereas the old Jack is slow and deeper. It's, oh, Don, right? So I think I'm going to see what I can do with that as well.
That was former portrait artist, now actor, Jack West. Here is the Atlanta Radio Theater production of Lights Out, which was done for the Jack Benny Fan Club Festival with Jack West and members of the Atlanta Radio Theater Company.
It's the Jack Benny Program. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're brought to you by Jell-O and those delicious... Oh my goodness.
What's wrong, Don? You're pale.
And those delicious flavors. Apricot, berry blue, black cherry, blackberry fusion, cherry lemonade, Concord grape, cotton candy, fruit punch, grape, green apple, lemon, lime, mango, margarita, melon fusion, orange, peach, pineapple, raspberry, strawberry, banana, tropical fusion, and watermelon.
We're a little late, folks, so good night. Don, are you all right?
Times certainly have changed. Just let me catch my breath. The Jack Benny Program, featuring Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson. And now here's the star of the show, a little wrinkled and gray since he's been away, Jack Benny.
Well, thank you. Jello again, this is Jack Benny talking. And Don, remember, an announcer who gives a bum introduction may be written off as a tax deduction. What does that even mean? But seriously, this is a different kind of show. Don, set the scene.
I'll be glad to, Jack. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Lost Jack Benny episode. We're taking you back to a time that may or may not have existed sometime during World War II.
Sometime between Canada Dry and Lucky Strikes.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Jack and the cast have been visiting Army bases and entertaining our troops. Last Tuesday evening, we did a special performance for the Army Air Corps trainees. Here's what happened at the end of the show.
That was Jack West performing as Jack Benny with members of the Atlanta Radio Theater Company. Coordinating producer for Atlanta Radio Theater is Brian Smith. Theme for Fan Alley is by Alton Leonard. I'm your host, William Brown, and peace be with you, my friends.